So yes, Britney's memoir revealed that in late 2000, Britney and Justin decided to get an abortion. And a lot of people are interpreting this as Justin Timberlake is the villain who pressured Britney into getting an abortion against her will. I disagree with that. I think that she made that choice of her own volition and shouldn't have listened to him. But at the same time, he shares blame if he was being negative about it the whole time and she started off with a positive outlook on it, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But the Britney stans are rabid and they will defend her for anything. Justin Timberlake has to defend himself by hiring bots to get on his side.
He doesn't have any friends. Nobody loves him anymore. All the NSYNC fans are okay with just hanging out with Lance Bass.
That's the accusation, at least. Some people are saying that this particular comment is getting copy and pasted by many supposedly fake accounts. Two consenting adults made a joint decision what was best for them at that period in their lives. I see no issue. That was copy and pasted by many accounts, and the screenshots prove that.
I got them up on screen.
So
right there.
I don't know what else to conclude other than yes, these are bot accounts. So either some crazy Justin Timberlake fan hired bot accounts to do this, or it's Justin Timberlake's PR team, or Justin Timberlake himself. I'm pretty sure that Justin Timberlake is behind this.
Yeah. Who would be crazy Justin Timberlake fans? I've never met one in my life.
He doesn't really have them. Britney does.
Right.
My favorite is the idea that he's actually doing it himself. He's just copying and pasting.
Well, it's her memoir, so she has the home field advantage right now.
She said she's not doing interviews either for this. She's not going to be doing any like interviews with people. Probably,
well, other than people.
She's like getting in there. They're like, you can't bring the knives in. She's like, I want to bring the knives in. They won't let her bring the knives in.
He said every time that she dances with her knives, she's imagining Justin Timberlake is there. She's just slashing him. Yeah.
It's weird how this has become such a part of culture now, right? Like, we probably don't realize how many celebrities utilize things like this to like turn public, because people were talking about this during Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, that both sides were using bots to raise the profile for their side.
That was almost certainly true. But at the same time, I think there were some people outside of the case who had no reason to be interested in it that were also making bot accounts in favor of or against Johnny Depp.
It is also fair to point out,
lots of bot comments.
It is also fair to point out that he is like NSYNC was like the biggest thing in the world at one. NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys were like the biggest thing in the world at one point. Not like he was also very, very famous as a solo artist for a lot of years.
He was the most famous member of the most famous band.
Like if you actually think about it, like it may just be because like stan culture is more likely to show up around Britney right now because Free Britney was just a couple years ago, which reinvigorated her image, like her public image with people. There's a lot of sympathy there. There isn't going to be a lot of sympathy for someone like Justin Timberlake in a situation like this.
The automatic assumption is anyone who was in Britney Spears' life before current day is a villain in the story where she's been the victim.
Yeah.
This one tweet against Britney Spears said, "What Britney Spears is doing to publicize her book is low, vile, and hostile. How can she give private details of the relationship she had with Justin Timberlake 20 years ago, considering that today Justin is a married man with children? She wants to destroy Justin any way she can."
Look, it is fair to point out.
Is she really vindictive or is she just kind of telling the story?
It is fair to point out that, like, look, if you both cheated on each other, because they did, right? You both cheated on each other. You've self-admitted that you both made the decision together to have the abortion. Yes, he pressured you to do so. You gave in to that pressure. This is not the story of like a domineering personality that maybe if there was no bad blood, a conversation could have gone on between them about what the repercussions of something like this are. But I'm also not going to fault her for like wanting to put her story out there, given that it's her story to tell. But if there was no bad blood, she's not
accusing him of being abusive, though. She's just kind of stating that he was not the best boyfriend.
And that goes hand in hand with all this other stuff that's being said about him, like whether it's the Janet Jackson stuff. Also, the news articles are taking care to bring up all of these other instances where he has these very early 2000s conversations where interviewers are like, so are you having sex with Britney Spears? And he like he answers the question, and that was what he was, I guess, not supposed to do. He's like, yes, I've had sex with Britney Spears. It's a
Obvious
very
question,
it's a
like,
very
answer.
Why
early
would they even
2000s.
ask him that question?
Because it was the early 2000s.
was Howard
and
Stern,
Shock
wasn't it?
Jock was
But isn't that like self-explanatory?
the point is it would have been considered taboo at the time because that stuff wasn't as public. She was a sexualized public figure, but she was only recently an adult in those years. So it was it's kind of like Ashton Kutcher.
They're the
with
same
that-
age too.
Yes.
So it's even weirder. You're also asking another teenager about their sex life. Yeah.
But at that time, that type of like shock jock question was very, very common. I imagine that it would be Alex Stein asking that question if it was to happen in today's
I
day
think
and
Is he the new Howard Stern?
Yeah.
with the story of her getting the abortion, people just don't know what to do with this, like this moral conundrum, because we live in the age of shout your abortion. This is something to be celebrated. This is not traumatizing. This is not a negative experience. And, you can never see it in a negative light. But then when she says Justin Timberlake was in favor of it and she wasn't, how is the man supposed to be right, but the woman is wrong? Like, I don't know.
Because it
Feminists
doesn't-
are just kind of short-circuiting right now. They don't know what to make of it.
No, to them it doesn't matter as long as the woman makes the decision, right? The guy is always
Right.
wrong in this situation, and the girl is always
But
right.
then the bot account is saying two consenting adults made the decision. But like, according to feminist dogma, he should have nothing to do with the decision of whether his child is kept alive, right?
Right.
One Britney stan said, the issue isn't him not wanting to be a father, it's the timeline of it all. The abortion, the breakup, the every time video, and then him using the breakup and her trauma to absolutely catalyst his solo career.
Wait, didn't she use her song to do the same thing?
What was her song?
Well, like the song isn't she
Every
isn't
time?
she monetizing
Oh, well,
her own trauma?
yeah.
the same
People
way?
are reinterpreting Every Time now that came out in 2004 to mean that she was singing about her aborted child, not about Justin Timberlake.
So
since this
she's
came
allowed
out.
she's allowed to profit from her trauma. He's not allowed to profit
And
from a bad
also,
breakup because he's the bad guy.
Right. And it's not just her story to tell, it's their story together. It was their child. So I do feel like he deserved at least some kind of a warning that this was about to be published in a book.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be fair.
I'm sorry, but the idea that all of this was the catalyst for his solo career.
Yeah, that's not
Please.
it.
Yeah.
He didn't
Like,
build a
he was
career
in
off
the
of her.
big one of the two biggest groups of all time. There was a time when you could not turn on the frickin' radio without hearing one of his songs.
Yeah.
And there was actually a lot. There was many years in between there where you forgot that they were ever even together. Like until this came up, I was like, oh yeah, that was a thing.
Are they saying that because Cry Me a River was his first breakout solo hit and it was about her cheating?
I guess
Because I mean that song was going to be famous regardless.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know that it was about Britney Spears at the time. And it was
But
still everywhere.
that's what I said to Mary. I said, like, when people had to hear this song every 5 minutes on the radio, nobody cared or knew what it
Right.
was about. And the only ones that did have already made up their mind because they're so deeply entrenched in whatever, famous celebrity subculture they're into. They've already made their mind up about it. If there was a Tumblr back then, that's where they would have been talking
Well, that's
about
just
it.
what I heard about it after the fact, but obviously I wasn't culturally aware in
That's
2004 or
To
whatever.
them, that's a rewrite of history.
Yeah, I guess. The comment finished, Britney would have wanted that baby, even if the trajectory of her career may have changed. That's trauma in itself. It's not that he didn't want to be a dad, he was honest. It's that he capitalized off of her pain, was silent during her imprisonment, aka her conservatorship, and has just been a truly awful friend to her.
And yeah, in the chat, Bond, he's right. Timbaland is the one who produced Cry Me a River, and he was very, very big at that time. I mean, he still is, but like that was a big thing at that time. And
What could Justin Timberlake have said during Britney's conservatorship that would have changed anything?
Nothing.
and
like-
maybe he felt like she needed it.
If not, made it worse for her.
One
Right.
thing I've learned is that anytime a response is demanded of you, there is no right answer.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Ever.
Right,
And I mean, and that's on they're the macro scale of that, right? Like, it's like when you do even a show like this, where people want you to do things a certain way, or people ask your opinions on certain topics, and you're like, or on things like on segments that we've done, right? And people like want clarification about something you've said. It doesn't matter because they've already deconstructed what you said to mean whatever they want you to have meant, rather than what you actually meant. And there's a bit of a gap there between like language, intent of conversation, and how it's viewed by people from the outside. Now combine that with interpersonal relations, tons of money, and celebrity status at the level in which they have it. There's no right answer.
Right. And
like,
a huge secret that was kept.
And the only right answer, like realistically, the only right answer back then would have been him to say, do whatever you want. I support you. Like that's the only right answer. What was he supposed to say about the conservatorship? Because the opinion about the conservatorship was not the opinion of the culture now, which is that it was over the top and wasn't needed. Back then, the culture was whipped up into a frenzy to believe that this lady was insane. So he would have been acting against the public narrative back then to say that. And who's to say he even knew that,
why would he even
Right.
be aware of that when he's got his own life going on that's completely separate from hers? It's not like he has news alerts on for his ex-girlfriend from when he was a teenager.
And also remember that they're downplaying the fact that both of them cheated on each other. This is just two people who weren't loyal to one another, making mistakes, and then one making a book out of it now, and the other one hasn't written a book.
Well, Justin Timberlake just needs to make his counter memoir so he can tell the real tea about their relationship from 20 years ago that he totally still cares about.
Well, and you made a joke earlier about his career, but he isn't unsuccessful. He is still
No, I wouldn't say
plenty
he's
successful.
unsuccessful.
He is like, I actually made the joke. I said the actual downside here is that he's finally doing something with NSYNC again. So now he probably does feel like he's failing a little bit because like all the other guys, like the big artists of the group, like Beyonce doesn't care about a Destiny's Child reunion as much as the other two do.
Well, I think that's why they're resisting doing a reunion tour,
Exactly,
because that
right?
would really solidify it. But somehow the Jonas Brothers got away with it. Like
Yeah,
they
because
really capitalized
because
off
none of
the
them
nostalgia.
none of them had extensively successful solo careers outside of the group. Not at the
Nick
level.
Jonas kind of did.
Not at the
Not
level
in
that Justin
music, I
Timberlake
guess,
did.
though.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different, maybe.
Like not at the level that Justin Timberlake had, though.
Yeah.
And he was always in fact, out of the two big ones, he is the most successful of the, so like between them and the Backstreet Boys. I guess who is it? Was it Nick Carter or Aaron Carter? That was
Nick Carter.
Okay, like
Well, if you can't remember, that makes your point.
none of
totally.
them had the solo careers that he did.
Yeah.
Yep.
In any of those groups. And then remember the group LFO? Two of those members have passed. 98 Degrees, Nick Lachey was kind of successful because he married
Doesn't he
Jessica
run?
Simpson.
Wait, I'm confused now. Isn't he like the host of Love Is Blind?
Yeah, he's like he turned into like a Carson Daly type person.
Yeah.
But he was pretty successful. But
Yeah.
but Justin Timberlake was the most successful out of all of those, which is why stuff like this ends up in the book.
Another thing that ended up in the book was Britney Spears confirmed that Justin Timberlake broke up with her via text, which is like
go ahead.
in 2002.
So ahead of his time.
That's really kind of groundbreaking. He might have been the first to do it.
Like he set the bar. He's like,
And he
kids.
did it on one of those phones where you
On
have
a
to press the button like
T9.
5 times.
He's like,
Like
break.
it literally would have been easier to meet her in person or call her, but he
I'm
made the point to text her.
It's not you. It's me. Period. Less than 3. No, like less than.
Less
slash.
than /3. It's not you, the letter U.
I never did that. Even back then, I never shorthand typed. Like I hadn't seen, because everybody had like phones like this for years, and my dad would still send me texts because my dad finally got a smartphone like this year, but my dad would send me texts like with the letter U, and like it was great. I was like, it was just such a throwback. So, and also like he would have had to figure it out. He'd have to figure it out like in the appropriate character limit, because he would have had a certain, like the SMS would send over a certain length there.
Sent in,
and
like,
then,
two
and then
parts.
he would have had to make sure he had to go check his phone plan to make sure that he had enough text left in his plan to send it
waited
without an
till
additional
after, like,
charge.
8 p.m.
That was an expensive text he sent if he didn't wait till after 8 p.m. to send it to her. You know, like
the idea that with all this money, he's still waiting.
He's like, how do you think I stay rich? I wait till after 9 p.m. to send my breakup texts. I know what I'm doing.
I think they said that she started filming a music video right after she got the breakup text, but that's just sounds a little too Hollywood.
Yeah,
it's
very dramatic.
Who were you talking about recently? That was it Miley Cyrus or somebody got broken up with right before she went live?
No, it was Katy Perry got the text from Russell Brand on her documentary about their divorce right before she got like beamed up onto the stage.
I don't believe it. Do you guys buy that?
I buy
Maybe.
it.
Yeah.
I buy it, yeah.
I guess she said that she got the text about like we're getting a divorce from Russell Brand and then never really saw him again.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I think a lot of it is a little bit of sour grapes because like his career skyrocketed. He went on to be very successful. Like I said, he's not just a musician. He acts too. Mm-hmm. He's multi-talented.
He's a musician?
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
There's plenty of people who are like, isn't he the guy from the Lonely Island videos? That's how like Gen Z knows him because he was in Dick in a Box with Andy Samberg. It was,
Gen Z knows who Justin Timberlake is.
So let's I just say like people back then, imagine keeping that phone. I just saw a thing the other day where it's like people were selling like iPhone 7s or iPhone 6s with the old Twitter logo on there for like $3,000.
What?
So it's like imagine he's
Why?
selling. Like,
I have one of those laying around.
What was the app? The app that was addictive. The guy who made it like
Flappy Bird.
Flappy Bird. Okay, so
Self-imploded.
you can buy phones with Flappy Bird on it on eBay for extensive amounts of money.
That's kind of crazy given that there are already copycat versions of the same game.
People wanted the original. Apparently the high was probably only as good on the original version of it.
I can't imagine being that guy. You're just going to forfeit millions of dollars because you feel like it's bad that people are playing Flappy Bird.
What? I feel like that stands for what you guys usually talk about, like morals over profit. No?
It's not immoral to sell a mobile game.
Well, maybe he one
It's
day
their
was
problem
like,
if they spend 4 hours a day doing it.
Right. Maybe one of his kids got like super addicted to the game. And he
He's
was
like,
like, what have I become?
Created it for my son.
What have I
done? Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.